So I'm back at Briones Regional Park, and I'm without Vita this time. The plan today is a 10-mile run, probably about 3,000 feet of elevation gain. Should be an interesting time. I haven't been running that much. My running's not been consistent. And this is typically a tough run, even when I'm in decent shape. But there are enough hills that, you know, a lot of it's going to be walking. So it's going to be, you know, running the flats, walking most of the uphills, running the downhills as long as I don't have any IT band problems. Another thing that's going to be interesting today is I ran out of my normal hydration fuel. So today I'm using UCAN. I had a bunch of UCAN packets at the house. I had enough for what should be a 4-hour run. And it's been a long time since I've used UCAN. I don't think I've used UCAN since 2016. And you know, UCAN is really good when you're already fat adapted. I've not been running, so I am not fat adapted. UCAN only has about 100 calories per packet, but it's got this stuff that they call super starch, which is supposed to be a slow bleed of carbohydrates into your system, helping you maintain endurance. But I think, we'll see. I think it's really predicated on your body being somewhat fat adapted, and having not been running, especially not been doing any distance, my body's definitely not fat adapted. So we'll see. By the end of this run, I may bonk. I may have to cut it short, although there aren't really any bailout points. Once I get about 1.5 miles out, I'm basically committed. So we'll see what happens. So I said that I'm back. I have another video out that basically chronicles the first 1.5 miles, 2 miles of today's route. So I'm not going to cover that too much here. If you're interested, you can go watch that video. So I may have failed to mention that I put in at the Alhambra Valley staging area, also known as the Alhambra Creek or the Alhambra Creek Valley staging area, and I'm heading out the Orchard Trail. Now, it's been raining a bunch this week. I guess it hasn't rained for maybe 2 days. And I'm surprised the trail is much drier than what I expected. Pleasantly surprised. I've come to the intersection of Orchard with Pine Tree and Toyon. When I was with Vita, I took the Pine Tree Trail, and that resulted in about a 5-mile hike. Today I'm going to take Toyon, which will take me out towards the Bear Creek staging area. You can see how dense the woods are here. And you know, frankly, it's the only place in the Bay Area where I run where I get a little concerned about mountain lions, just because, you know, so many trees, so dense, so many places for them to hide. It would be, you know, very difficult to spot one, you know, until it's right up on you. And it is funny because, you know, I've never seen any mountain lions here. I've never known them to be here, at least while I'm running. Never seen any tracks, but you know, this is essentially my backyard, and
you know, even in my neighborhood about 15 years ago, you know, we had a mountain lion spotted lounging on a car. So I know they're definitely here. And then you're like, well, Jim, if you're that concerned, why are you wearing a headset? Well, I'm not that concerned. I think it's a reality. You know, and I hope to one day see one, you know, from a distance. But I'm not super concerned about being confused for prey. The only place in the Bay Area, you know, where I did have a mountain lion up the trail for me once was down in San Jose, and there was literally 1 minute up the trail, but by the time I got there, it was gone. Another thing that's going to hamper me today is I'm super tight, you know, from almost a year of COVID, little activity, sitting in my office, you know, 10 or 11 hours a day. And it's been a real problem for me the last couple weeks. You know, I'll go out for you know, what I hope is going to be a 6-mile run, and my legs just seize up, you know, and I do maybe half that. You know, and I've been getting regular massage and foam rolling and the whole bit, and I just can't get them to loosen up. So I am determined to do the full 10 miles today, whether that means walking the entire way or, you know, running as well. We'll see. But I can already feel them tightening up. My hope is, you know, that once I get into the first 30 minutes, the system starts to relax, and maybe they'll loosen up a little bit. Now, I don't know if the camera's capturing this, but this is super steep, and you can see why, you know, after a rain, kind of want to avoid it because it's just going to be super slick. But today it's not bad. This is a little bit muddier than what the Orchard Trail was, but it's, you know, it's just tacky, which is, you know, great for climbing. But, you know, I was mentioning mountain lions previously, and you can see, you know, I'm not seeing any cat tracks. Seeing a lot of horses, seeing a lot of people. Of course, you know, the horses would have trampled over the cat tracks for the most part. But even along the edges, not seeing anything that would be too concerning. Now in total, this is a fairly long climb to the top of the ridge. My guess would be, I don't know, maybe a half mile. It kind of goes up, plateaus a little bit, and then continues to climb. Now, as I look across to that other hillside, I suspect that's the old Briones Road Trail. Would be my guess. I'd have to check the map. So I guess if push came to shove, that could be a bailout point. But I suspect what we're not seeing there is it goes down, probably dips down really steep beyond the tree line, and then pops back up. So I am almost at the top of the ridge, and I think previously I said it was probably a half mile. No, it's actually closer to a mile. So a mile straight up along the Toyon and Lagoon trails. I am basically at the top, the so-called top. This is the Briones Crest Trail. Continuing up the Briones Crest, and out in the distance, got the Carquinez Straits, the Benicia Bridge, Martinez, Pleasant Hill, Concord, Mount Diablo. Okay, so I've connected to the Mott Peak Trail, and this will take me up and over the main crest of the park, and I'll start heading down. Now you can see there's a small trail going up that way. I don't know if that's Mott Peak or not, but it really doesn't go anywhere. It kind of goes up. You can go down the other side and get back on the Briones Crest Trail, but you know, unless you're sightseeing, it's not really worth the effort. Now, the one thing you may have noticed is I don't know the names of these trails until I get up right onto the trail signage. So that's a good thing about the park. All the major intersections are signed. You know, I know my way around, but if you catch me out here and you're asking me for directions and you don't have a map, I can give you vague directions, as in, oh, well, you want to go here, and then you're going to want to go left, and it's going to head up, take you to this other trail, and you're going to want to go right. But, you know, on these trails where there might be minor offshoots, I'll be saying things like, oh, well, you want to take the first major intersection, you know, that sort of stuff. So I encourage people to pick up a map. There's typically maps at each of the staging areas. Everything's well signed, so getting lost shouldn't be too much of an issue. Now, just to get up and over that crest, it was about 3 miles. I'm 3.3 miles in right now. And I've got another 7 miles to go. So, you know, you get up to the top and you kind of get this feeling like, oh, it's downhill, it's the halfway point. Nope, not even close. I'm gonna have to go down, and then I'm gonna have to come back up. And there is, when I come back up, I will get back to the Crest Trail, but instead of heading back the way that I came, I'm gonna go right, which, you know, is gonna take me off through the park for another 2 hours. Okay, I've come to the Black Oak Trail junction, and I'm heading left onto Black Oak Trail. Now eventually I will be on that trail way down there, and then head back up over this ridge. Now I'm going to end up over there on that trail, but that trail, it's pretty much equidistant back to the car. Okay, so this is actually the worst part of the run. This downhill is incredibly steep. In the summer, it's just sandy and slippy. Right now it should be fine because it's rained, and there should be, you know, it should still be a little tacky. So I'm on the Valley Trail right now. Typically I take the old Briones Road, but There's a mother up there with her calf, and I don't want to disturb them, so I guess I'm going to keep going out the valley trail. Distance won't be much different. I don't think the elevation gain is going to be any different because it comes to the same place. This is going to be a little steeper because instead of heading up immediately and then plateauing and then heading up gradually, which is what the other way would have done, I'm going to be on this trail, which is sort of a false flat, probably for another half mile, and then it's gonna pitch up. I actually think this way is a little bit harder, at least mentally, because there's not as much variety to it. Now, the downside of going this way is I don't know the trail system as well. So, I'm gonna go straight out and continue to keep to my left until I end up where I want to be. But I can't visualize right now what that's gonna look like other than straight uphill in and among the oak trees. I probably should note that I'm at the halfway point now in terms of distance, and in time about halfway point as well, 1 hour and 26 minutes. Started the climb back up to the crest. So I've reached the intersection of the Valley Trail and the Briones Crest Trail. This will take me all the way up to the ridge, and then I'm going to head right and head back to the car from there. Okay, about 6 miles in, and I think I'm getting up towards the peak. And then from the peak, I'll be going down for quite a ways. Yeah, there's the intersection right there. So, party at Tabletop, which is a popular place for people to just sort of go and hang out. So this is Tabletop, gives you a 360 view of the park. There's Mount Diablo there. Back out towards Martinez, the bridge. Now about 1 hour and 45 minutes in. It's been 6 miles. I am feeling it a little bit. To be fair to the UCAN, you're supposed to drink 1 packet before you exercise and then continue as you're exercising. I didn't do that. I always go out fasted regardless of what I do, and so I didn't start sipping UCAN until I was about 1 hour in. So I'm feeling it. Not too bad yet. So we'll see how the rest of the run goes. Should only be another 4 miles, so maybe another 1.5 hours if I don't get lost. I for whatever reason, going back this way, I always tend to get lost because there's a few offshoot trails that can be confused for the main trail. So hopefully that won't happen today. So I am back on the trail that I had planned to be on originally. I don't know, I suspect maybe I've lost about a half mile of distance, maybe. Now this side of the park, it is a little bit wetter than the other side. A little bit more slippery, a little more mud. Tabletop meets with Spangler. And if you recall, if you've seen the other video on Briones, Spangler is the trail that Vita and I took on our last descent down to the car. I am not going to follow Spangler all the way to the car. I can go that way, and it is sort of a bailout. It's about a mile shorter run, I think. But I am going to come off Spangler and head sort of northeast for a bit, and then come down to the car. Yeah, that looks slippery. Lots of people on the trail today. I usually run this on Sunday, early Sunday mornings, and I don't see as many people. Now, I think, and this is when I talk about me getting lost, I think I'm gonna go right here. Spangler Trail is gonna head down that way, and that will take me to the car, but I'm gonna go out Diablo View. Yay, I took the right trail. Sometimes I get confused with these offshoots. So I'm about 8.5 miles in. I think I've got another 30 minutes to go. I'm actually feeling pretty good. And Diablo View Trail, it's a lot of rolling, a lot of steep up and down, in and among these oak trees. It really is quite beautiful. I'm coming into the last descent before I get to the car. Just under 9 miles. So I think that that trip through the valley scrubbed. I thought it would probably scrub a half mile off. It may have scrubbed as much of a mile. I think I'm going to come into the car at about 9.25 miles, and typically it's a 10+ mile run. You can't see it yet, but the car is down there, the base of that hill. There we go. There's the parking lot. So it's 9.2 miles back to the car. It's been 2 hours 35 minutes. I did scrub some distance off, and normally if I go out for 10 miles, I want to do 10 miles. So I'm going to end the video here. Hope you enjoyed coming along with me. Thanks for coming, and I'm going to go back out and put in another mile or so I get my 10. Okay, going back out. I'm going to go up here to the left, head to the top of that little hill with the I don't know what you call those, the power line, and hopefully that'll get me, I don't know, half mile to the top, half mile back, and round out my 10 plus. Nearing the top of the hill with the power lines, and that was only about a quarter of a mile. So I'm gonna have to keep going down and over this hill, wherever that takes me. Suspect it'll actually take me back to the road. And then I guess I could either run the road or just backtrack. There's the road as I suspected. And actually, if I head down to this gate and turn around, that should put me at just about 10 miles on the button if I turn around. Now, typically, you know, the distance isn't so important. You know, what's important is time on your feet. But, you know, when I'm out of shape like I am, I don't know, you know, I could say, okay, I'm going to go out for 3 hours. That 3 hours could be, you know, could be 10 miles. It could be 14 miles. And so, you know, since I know the trails and I know the routes that I want to take, I kind of get that in my head. Okay, I'm going to do this trail. However long it's going to take me, I'm going to do this trail. And I know that trail is 10 miles. So, you know, when I have to shortcut it for whatever reason, it's not so much the distance, it's that I didn't do exactly what I wanted to do. Yeah, that's probably a bit anal. But yeah, that's the way I can be. So the next best thing, if I can't do the exact trail that I want, is at least to get in the equivalent mileage. And I know, you know, on the trail that I'd meant to take, the 10 miles is usually 3 hours. So, you know, that's how I target things. You know, I go, okay, I want to do X many hours this weekend. Okay, this trail is 10 miles. That's going to be X many hours on this particular trail. And for those that might be wondering, I went out the Tavern Trail. So back at the car, final tally, 10 miles, 2 hours, 47 minutes, 23:50 in climbing. So not only did I scrub about a mile off of the original distance, I scrubbed about 700 feet of climbing. I'm feeling pretty good. I only went through just less than half of my fuel. So, you know, 2 hours, 47 minutes with probably only 200 calories max. I'm feeling pretty good about that. I didn't push myself. I mean, it's 16:45 pace. So, you know, no land speed records being broken here. But it was nice to get out, and I'm glad to do it. If you're still watching, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for coming along, and be safe.